So hello. Hello. Okay, I can't see, so I don't know if the auditorium is empty or not. Liking the conference? This side? Okay. Here's some good speakers. How many people hung over? Yeah, a lot of hands went up. I can see you. All right, we're going to talk about fusion marketing. All kidding aside, how many people here are having trouble making their marketing work? For themselves, their clients, nobody? Okay, well then, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming today. Social media came on the scene 10, 12, 14 years ago, and it changed the way we did marketing. It pretty much destroyed traditional marketing, but it was great. That's okay. We didn't need traditional marketing. That's been around for thousands of years. So digital was great. But now we're having a problem with digital. It's kind of getting tired. AdWords, too expensive. Facebook, no conversion. So the question I keep getting asked by my clients and by people I work with is, how do you make this stuff work? And that's what I'm going to show you here today. We're going to do something called fusion marketing. And yeah, it's based on a book, and it is available in paper if you want it. What you're looking at here is a system. What I needed to do is to put together some kind of a system of how do I make sure, how do I keep track of all the marketing tools. Think about it. Up until a decade ago, all we had was a finite set of traditional tools. Yeah, we had print and television, radio, and direct mail, and then social media comes in and digital marketing, and now we got SEO, SEM, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. How do you sit down and comprehensively put together a program that incorporates everything, that takes everything into consideration? We don't have enough resources to do everything, so I developed this system, and this system is actually patent pending. Not that I'm ever going to get a patent on it. Feel free to use it. That's my bio. Don't try to read it. You'll get a third of the way through the list and your eyes will start to bleed. But as you heard, yes, I'm from California. I was raised in New York. But I've been in marketing pretty much my whole career. I invented the first computer to save a human life. I was the first to do voice recognition, which eventually became drag and dictate. I did the first voice synthesizing. I have 3 U.S. patents on three-dimensional internet advertising. So I know a little bit about marketing. And the reason I tell you this is after the presentation, I'm available for weddings, bar mitzvahs, and any questions that you guys might have. Also, these slides are available. Just go to lonsafko.com. A lot of speakers don't make their slides available. I do. Here's a list of the traditional tools that we've always had, and we all know those. But there's a lot of them, and how you use them, the nuances, and the conversion rate. Let me also say this, too. Now that social media is starting to soften, these tools are starting to be revisited. We're seeing a dramatic increase in conversion rates in print media, at least in the States and in Asia. And actually, India never lost it. Then we added something called digital. Now, I'm going to separate digital from the other tools because there are tools that are not the same as social media. SEO, SEM. The difference is that digital tools doesn't require communication with the customer or the prospect. Social media tools actually do. When you put a post out on Facebook, you expect comments, you expect shares. When you post something on Instagram, you expect some interaction. Two-way communication. And by the way, that was the toughest thing for all of us who had done marketing before social media, is to go from one-way push communication, just one-way communication from a monologue into a dialogue. But there's also tools out there that are required that doesn't require two-way communication. SEO, SEM, for example. No communication. That's about your website, but you still need to do that. RSS, e-commerce. So we have to know all of those tools. And now we have all of the social tools to consider. The other thing I want to warn you, if you call yourself a social media expert, what you're doing is announcing to the world that you only know half of what it takes to be a good marketer today. And it's really sad because I see a lot of people still calling themselves social media experts. You're not, because that means that you only understand about a third of what it requires to be a good marketing person. You have to understand traditional every bit as you understand Facebook. Today, it's a full integration of all the tools that are available to us. Because none of the tools are really working effectively anymore, we have to use every single tool. And the other thing that you have to do is you have to measure. Now, back in the 50s, in the 1950s after World War II, believe it or not, there actually was vice presidents of billboard marketing. Could you believe that? Do you think that there's a single vice president of billboard marketing today? It sounds so ridiculous. So you got to get out of that stereotype. You're not a social media expert, you're a marketing expert. There was a statement that was made quite a while ago. It says that half of my advertising isn't working. I just don't know which half. We're all plagued with that. We all know that we put our marketing out, we keep our fingers crossed, we hope for more foot traffic, more web traffic, we hope that we get more likes and more shares. But as marketers, many of us simply don't measure what those results are. And a lot of people think that this comment came from Ogilvy, of Ogilvy and Mathers, Madison Avenue, New York. Actually, it was Lord Leverhulme. Doesn't ring a bell to anybody? He's the dude, him and his brother founded Lever Brothers. So he knew a little bit about marketing. And I wanted to start this presentation out with that statement because that is what the problem is with myself and with my clients, is that half of our marketing is completely ineffective, but we just don't know which half. So us as marketers, you have to start taking measurement really serious. Every single thing that you do, you have to measure. So every time I sat down with a client and tried to explain, yeah, we have all these traditional tools, we have all these digital tools, we have all these social tools, which ones would you like to pick? And of course, the client had no idea. They'd always pick out things like Facebook because it's popular, or LinkedIn, or YouTube video sharing. But we never looked at the big picture. Here's another mistake that we make as marketers. Almost always, we do what we did last year, but we simply throw more money at it. Correct? We just do what we did last year. Why? Because we're comfortable with that. But things are changing continuously. We have to take into consideration every single tool that's available to us. Einstein once said, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing the same way and expecting different results. Doing the same thing and throwing more money at it just means that we're going to throw away more money. So we have to look at everything. So what I wanted to do for one of the clients is to create some kind of a graph. Because I'm a very visual person. So I started with this, and it was so successful, it was amazing. That's why I wrote the book. We start with the traditional tools. We put this around an image. By the way, if you're a marketer, you immediately know that that's called a starburst. Put it around the starburst, and that's all of the tools that we have available to us in traditional. So I would start with myself. I would start with my client. It could be an annual marketing plan. It could be a product launch. We did a huge product launch out of India using this program. And it's free. You can find it online, create it yourself. It's out there. What this did is it forced us to look at every single traditional tool that we had and at least make a conscious effort, a conscious decision which tools were going to be appropriate. So in this case, we went around the wheel and we simply asked, are we going to do print ads? Are they cost prohibitive? Is there a good conversion rate? Is it something that we should consider? I don't want you guys going out here and doing things because it's trendy or because you just heard about it. I want you to do it because it makes sense. Stop doing marketing by accident and do it deliberately. So this tool allowed us, it actually forced us to consider everything. If we wanted to use that tool, we kept it in. If we didn't, we were able to take it out. For me, that was a revelation. Because I never had a tool that I could look at all the traditional marketing tools available to us and have that conversation, either with my client or myself or my company. So that was a big deal, but I didn't want to stop there. I'm about relationships. Is there any relationships to the information that we're looking here? All of a sudden, I started to realize that we can interconnect all of this. Yeah, we can fuse different forms of marketing together. What if we were able to take every single traditional tool that we had and fuse it with every other tool? I know that sounds a little bit weird. What if we took print ads and we connected them to business cards? Does that make any sense? No, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. What does print ads have to do with business cards? What if on the back of your business cards, now by the way, we all print business cards, what, once a year, once every 2 years, when you get fired, when you quit? Business cards are very inexpensive. It's the least expensive marketing tool that we have. And yeah, by the way, business cards are very important marketing tools, especially at conferences like this. If you're not carrying business cards with you everywhere, even to the bathroom, you're making a mistake because you never know who you're going to bump into that's going to turn into some kind of business for you. So if you were able to take print ads and business cards, put your company information that's normally on a business card, your Instagram account, your Facebook account, put it in the bottom of all of your print ads. On your print ads, make sure that all of that information is contained with all the little chiclets. On your business card, make sure that you're mentioning next month's print campaign. Think about this for a second. If you're dealing with a company with 1,000 employees, and they all have business cards, and you printed a small batch of business cards for everybody that touted the next print campaign, every business card that was handed out by 1,000 people, they would then see that information and be able to look for that print ad, look for that coupon. So what I found is by looking at this and interconnecting every single thing on there. Now, I want you to do this right now in your head. Pick anything on there, connect it with anything else, and your first impression is going to be, I can't connect it. It doesn't make any sense. But if you give it just a couple of minutes, what you're going to find is you actually can connect it. You can cross-pollinate this information back and forth. So that way, you're getting a significantly larger impact on whatever tool that you're currently using. Now, I'm going to say that again because this is the most important statement of this presentation. What if all the things that you're already doing, already paying for, if you can get a multiple impact, if you can get twice, 10 times the impact, and not spend any more money, isn't that the holy grail of marketing? Isn't that what we're all trying to achieve? Better results, spend less money, or even spend the same money. That's what this is about. It's about this interconnection. So, of course, you can imagine I couldn't wait to get to digital and social. So I just created another one of these wheels, and I put all of the digital and social media tools around it. And then I could sit down with myself, with my client, with my company, whomever, and we can go through these tools. And we say, okay, we're going to do SEO? Yeah, we're going to do SEO. Of course we are. You generally only have to do it about once. How about SEM? Well, we ought to consider it. What kind of budget do we have? And just simply go around the wheel and ask those questions. Should we do it or shouldn't we do it? CEO walks into the room and asks you, are we doing this? Are we going to use this tool? And you say no, at least you can look that person straight in the eye and say, we made a conscious decision, we discussed it, and we decided, yes, we're going to do it, and this is the budget, or no, we're not going to do it because past experience, past measurements shows that it doesn't work. Now, what if you're able to interconnect these? On Facebook, are you driving people to your email sign-up list? Email still, by the way, has the highest conversion of anything that you can do. Email is still working. That's assuming that you haven't abused your list. It still works. Are you taking people on Facebook and driving them to your LinkedIn connections of your officers, to yourself? Are you driving people over to Instagram? Are you using Instagram watermarking to drive people over to Facebook? If the answer is no, I got to ask, why not? If you have all these followers in all these different containers, all these different silos, how come you're not using every one of those silos to fill all the other silos? That way, when you do a Facebook campaign, you're not only reaching everybody on Facebook, but you're reaching everybody on Facebook, Instagram, your email list, and everything, because you've driven people to your Facebook account to sign up. And we know that what's going on with Facebook, we can no longer download the emails from Facebook. It's difficult to import information, and let me tell you something. Over the next couple of years, it's going to get harder and harder and harder to pull personal information out of these platforms so that we can market to them. So we're going to have a way to take people from each of these platforms and move them over to another platform. And I'm going to challenge you again. Now, by the way, the slides are available at lonsafko.com. There's a black bar. It says Get Access, and you can have all these slides and the presentation that I did yesterday. And yeah, you see virtual reality, you see Second Life. And if you're thinking, what does he know? That peaked in 2011. Let me tell you what I know. What's coming up is virtual reality is going to come back because the barrier to entry is much less because of the goggles situation. Amazon has dumped hundreds of millions of dollars into a new virtual reality platform. Virtual reality, yes. You need to understand this as a marketer. If Amazon is willing to put $100 million into a virtual reality platform, it's coming back with a vengeance. Do you understand augmented reality? Can you put together a marketing program based on augmented reality? Are you completely understanding artificial intelligence, chatbots? These are the things of the future that you have to be aware of if you're going to remain in marketing. And they have to be part of this wheel, and you have to know how to interconnect them so that one can drive the success of the other. Does that make sense? Okay, one person agrees it makes sense. Does that make any sense? Okay, now I got this side of the room agreeing. This side, is this the hangover side? You can imagine I couldn't wait until I can get all the tools together on one wheel. Look at this, ladies and gentlemen. And that doesn't include augmented reality, virtual reality, Internet of Things. Oh, by the way, Internet of Things are going to bite us right in the backside as marketers because you ain't going to be ready for it, but it's going to be our responsibility to market those products. So be aware of that. So here they all are on a wheel. Now, there's a problem with this. Okay, there's the problem, by the way. If you took every one of the social media tools and every one of the digital tools, it would just make your screen go blank. Make your head go blank as well. Here it comes. There's just too many tools. There's too many things to work with, too many things to consider. So one of the things as marketers we have to take into consideration is which are the most important tools and which are the least important, so that when we narrow down all the different categories, that we're only dealing with the ones that are actually important. Maybe print ad is you don't get a good conversion rate. You don't get a good conversion rate. Maybe it's too expensive. Television, most areas, way too expensive to launch any kind of a project. So look at them all. Take the ones from the digital, take the ones from social, take the tools from traditional, and put them together in one location. And then I really want you to measure these tools. You know that everything now could be pushed through the internet. Even newspaper, you can tell which newspaper ad on what day and what location is doing the best by putting in a QR barcode, putting in a bit.ly code, some way to tie it back to a website. So we, as marketers, for the first time, can track every single tool that we're using, but we're not doing that. A, we don't know how. B, we don't want to. And if you're an agency, you don't want your clients to see how poorly it's performing. But we have to start doing that. So we're going to have to start prioritizing based on measurement. Measure everything. Today, with the effectiveness, with the conversion rates as low as they are, we can't afford to be wasting money on any advertising that isn't working. Did you hear that? You have to measure everything. You can't waste your money, your company's money, your client's money on anything that isn't working. So you have to measure everything. So this is what we end up with. We end up with a finite set of tools. We can wrap our brains around them. We have enough human resources. We have enough financial resources to do this. And now we look at them when we start interconnecting. Here's where the real interconnection comes in. On your blog, are you driving people to Facebook? Are you driving people to LinkedIn? Are you driving people to sign up for your email list? So if I was to stop here with this integration, that would have been great just by itself. But let's take it a little bit further. What if we could take this tool and do something that's called fusion marketing? Fusion, anybody familiar with this? A fractal image? Show of hands. Anybody seen one person? Okay, at the very end, can you please come up here and explain to everybody else what a fractal is? A fractal is an image that you look deeper and deeper and the image repeats itself. Or you can zoom out infinitely and it repeats itself. That's kind of what we're doing here with fusion. What we're going to do is we're going to take the tools that we're comfortable with and we're going to zoom in. Here's the tools that we decided that we're going to keep. So let's say that social networks is something that we need to include in our next marketing plan. Annual, quarterly, product launch, whatever. And what if that tool, we now know it's important enough to build into our plan, then the question is, what are the top 10 social networks in the area, the marketing area that you're working in? If I pick the capital of your country, Ljubljana, help me with that. Ljubljana. What's the top 10 social networks that are most successful, that converts the best in Ljubljana? Yeah, none of you know, and we have a whole room full of people. And I don't know either. But if you're telling me as a client, or you're telling me as the marketing person, that you understand social media, but you can't give me the top 10 social networks in your area, then that's going to be a problem. So what this tool allows you to do is take one tool from the outside, place it on the center, and then do the analysis on it. If you're going to use social platforms, go and Google the top 10 social platforms in Ljubljana. Why not? That way you know that you're going to be effective. Don't guess at it. I want you to do marketing deliberately and not by mistake, not by accident anymore. Now, let's zoom down again. Let's zoom in. And yeah, G+, I don't know what's going on with G+. The people at Google say that they're still going to support it, but everybody has kind of stopped using it. But it still has a large platform, so I still post occasionally over on G+. So you have to then ask that question about this fusion again, this interconnecting. Take a look at this. Are you using every one of your social platforms that you're marketing on and connecting and pushing people to every other one of your social platforms? If you're not, that needs to be part of your campaign if you want your campaign to be effective. And by the way, every single thing that I talked about to this point doesn't cost you anything extra because you're already doing it. You already are participating on these platforms. I just want you to think differently. Now, if Facebook is important, which we know it is, then what are the top 10 business practices? Can anybody tell me right now, without looking at the screen, what are the top 10 business practices that increases conversion on Facebook? Yeah, nobody knows. You know why? First of all, because it changes all of the time. So if you're putting together a program, why not ask Google, what are the top 10 best practices in Facebook for business? That way, when you develop your plan, you actually have actionable items. You know what you're going to do. Does that make sense to anybody? One guy. I thought that was a hangover section. Now, suppose you wanted to use it on customer service, which has nothing to do with social media, and we're not at a customer service conference. But could you do it? Yeah, customer service is part of marketing. There's no question about it. And it's an important part of marketing because there was an old report that came out about 25 years ago, and it said, happy customers will tell 7 people, unhappy customers will tell 15 people about their experience. You know how ridiculous that sounds today? An unhappy customer won't tell 17 people, they'll tell 17,000 or 170,000 people that they're having a bad experience. You need to make sure that customer service is included in everything that you do in marketing. That's where they touch the customers, especially the ones that aren't happy. And it works here too. What are the top 10 best business practices in customer service if you decide to include that in your marketing plan? Okay, here's the last slide. I won't throw any more at you, and then I'll open it up to questions. And this is actually my favorite part of it. So when I was trying to summarize all this, and I was going to write the strategy part, does anybody, here's a challenge. I want you to do it right now in your head, unless you have a hangover, and I'll leave you alone. I want you to define in your head as clearly as possible, because I may call on you, because I can see you, and you look confident, I'll pick you. What is the definition of strategy? Oh, every single person in here has put together a marketing strategy. All I want you right now in your head is to define what that is. Give me the clearest sentence that defines strategy. Not comfortable with it, are you? Is anybody willing to volunteer what they think that is? Yeah, I don't see a single hand. But you've all done it, haven't you? There's where the problem lies. Strategy isn't a thing. It's like synergy. Synergy is the sum of the things of the parts are equal to or greater than. Some months have 21 and 2 vowels go walking. Well, when we look at strategy, it's the sum of all of the parts of your marketing plan. Let me show you how I define strategy, and I think you're going to enjoy it. Here's what we're going to do. First of all, if you're creating a strategy plan, a marketing plan, take the word goal and do a global delete. Take goal out of everything that you do. Goal is an arbitrary number picked by the financial people to demoralize salespeople. If you did the best that you possibly could this year and had a successful year, and they come back and they say, we need to see a 5% increase in revenue next year, is that even a rational statement? How are you going to do better than your best? Now, I'm not saying it's not right to benchmark. Definitely benchmark. And if your chief financial officer has to have the word goal in there, give him his own chapter that you can tear off the back of the report later. He'll feel good about that. Not the tear off part. So the first thing that I want you to do is look at objectives. And that's a lot of confusion too. What is the difference between a goal and an objective? An objective is something that you can actually achieve. It's definable. So for example, what I use is increase my email list. Everything I do in marketing, I try to do to increase my email list. That's why I said if you guys want the slides, go get them. I'm going to get your email list, gives them the opportunity to communicate with you after this presentation. Everything that I do is about that. Can I use public presentations to increase my email list? Yes. Look at the next one. Drive more attendance to my presentations. Can I use email lists to drive more people to my presentations? Yes. You can answer that question easily. If I say, can I use my email list to increase my revenue by 2.5%, what is the answer to that? See, you can't answer it, so it's a goal. It's not an objective. So if you pick somewhere between 3 and 5 objectives, that's all you need to do. Put them in a list. Now watch what comes next. Okay, here we go. Now, if I only had marketing tools, if I only knew the best marketing tools that were discussed, decided upon, rejected, approved, agreed to, best marketing practices were looked at for each of these tools. Now, by the way, doing this doesn't take much longer than it's taken me to explain this to you, because you can decide really quickly which ones you're going to keep and which ones you're not. So if you had a set of tools, yes, the whole previous part of this presentation was getting you the best tools, the best traditional, the best digital, and the best social. Now, if you simply take those and put those around the wheel and answer the question, take your first objective. First objective is, can I use my email list? How do I use telephone to increase my email list? What if on the back of my business card I put a QR barcode that said, shoot this, call my office, and I'll give you a half an hour, I'll answer any questions that you have, call me. You know that voice-to-voice connection is much more effective in closing a sale than anything that you can do on social media. So why not consider using telephone to increase your email list? Up until this presentation, I promise not a single one of you have put those two together in your head. Can you use coupons? Can you use your website? Can you use Instagram? Yes, the answer is yes to all of those, but we don't think that way because we always think silo. We think one level. This helps us looking at it from different levels. And you know that you've chosen a good objective because you could answer the question, can I use customer service to increase my Facebook? Can you? Every single time someone takes a customer service call, especially when they leave happy, hey, go like us, go friend us on Facebook. Is that going to increase your Facebook? Of course it is, but we don't think that way. Let's make sure that we include those kinds of ideas in all of our marketing plans. And you know what? You're not going to believe this. What would happen if you actually decided maybe your Facebook following is weak, but your email's high, and maybe your LinkedIn connections are high? What if you just did a campaign that used all of your other social platforms besides Facebook simply to push people into Facebook to like you, to get some fish food, to get a marketing report, to get a survey, to get an ebook? And you could take all your other networks and push them all into Facebook. Would that have any effect after the fact on how effective Facebook is for you? You could probably double the amount of people that you're connecting with just in Facebook. But we don't think that way. I want you to think this way. So here's what the strategy is while this thing is building. What you need is to throw away the word goal. You need objectives. Objectives are critical to putting together any kind of a marketing plan. They need to be concise. I want you to have no more than 3 to 5 really good objectives. The tools. Previous part of this presentation is going to take you through the steps of actually finding the proper tools. Now remember, what works today is not going to work in a couple of months. 5 months from now, if you try exactly the same campaign, it's going to fail. We don't know why, but we do know that that's true. So a quarterly marketing campaign, a yearly, a product launch is always going to be different, and the tools that you're going to use are going to be different. That's why the system works. So when you're done here, we're going to have roughly about 20 tools. Maybe 5 or 6 traditional, maybe 12 or 14 social, digital, and we're going to have 3 to 5 objectives. And let me tell you how to pull all this together. When you connect each of these, those are your tactics. That's your tactics. How am I going to use Facebook to increase my email list? I'm going to do this. Simply answer the question and go around the wheel. If you have 20 good tools, which we just designed, and you have 3 to 5 objectives, you're going to have 100 perfect designed tactics for your next plan. And it works. And it's just as simple. Does that make sense? 3 to 5 objectives, 20 good tools. The tactics are how you're going to use those tools to achieve those objectives. Strategy is the combination of all of this. You're going to end up with 100 usable tactics. Now you're going to have to prioritize because no company can actually launch 100 tactics in any type of a campaign. But isn't that amazing? It's the first time in history that you're going to be able to have 100 good ideas rather than struggling for a half a dozen. That's what this will do for you, and the tool is really simple. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time and thank you for your understanding. Thank you.